There's a large group of people these days that are into the Jaguar, the Mustang, and the Jazzmaster because they look awesome. They're pretty comfortable to play. They have the best vibrato unit in the world in the case of the Jazzmaster and the Jag. But they don't necessarily want any of the traditional sort of sounds. They want to use them more for high gain because of certain bands in the 90s that did so. So they think to themselves, as soon as they get one of those, they got to rip out all the electrical components, mainly the pickups, in order to achieve that. We're going to be testing that out today. I'm going to be using the Victory Sheriff combo amplifier. We're going to be messing with the EQ, and we're going right to the hot rod channel. I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet to show you that you don't necessarily need to throw your stock electronics away. We're going to start off with all the EQ parameters straight at noon. Here it's really trebly, but it still has a good sound to it. We just got to tame it a little bit. The first thing we're going to try is actually rolling off the tone knob on the guitar itself and going from there. Let's put it right back up. Not bad, but let's actually try and use the amplifier and kind of get a bassline sound, and maybe we could tweak a little bit more using the volume and the tones on the guitar afterwards. But here's where I would recommend going, especially if this is the sort of gain you want. We'll push a little bit further momentarily, but first thing I would do, I'd turn down the presence a little bit, turn up the bass a little bit, and dump that treble back just a tad. It's important to remember, these guitars stock, they have 1 meg pots in them, so they're known for being kind of bright. One thing that's really cool is you can actually take advantage of that. Isolated, if I were to play a Les Paul and this back to back with the same exact settings, yeah, the Les Paul is going to sound a lot bigger. But if you were to play with a full band or start recording a song that has other instrumentation in it, you might actually prefer a guitar like this that has a little bit more cut to it. Same thing. Alrighty, we're making pretty good progress. Let's go ahead and tweak a little more. And we'll add a little bit more gain. Let's try the neck pickup. That sounds great. Up the gain a little bit more, and we will go to the bridge. That sounds huge! Same thing with the Jazzmaster now. Sounds great. Moral of the story is this: If you can live with a little bit of the noise from the amplifier, which I don't mind because I grew up playing these sorts of amplifiers, these sorts of tones, it's not so bad. It's really not. You can get some really cool sounds. You just got to really dial out a little bit of the high end from the amplifier. You don't necessarily need to change anything on the guitars themselves, whether it is a Jazzmaster, a Jaguar. Unfortunately, I no longer own a Mustang, so I couldn't really demonstrate it with that. But with those guitars in particular, I would really recommend you check out a video that I made with the Jaguar and the Mustang. The Mustang, surprisingly, I thought it sounded the best of the two once I really started to push the gain on it. If you can't deal with the noise whatsoever and that's your primary reason for wanting to get rid of the pickups, you do have options to combat that as well. If you're doing it with a real amplifier, you could buy a pedal. You can use the ISP decimator. That'll do a really great job kind of eliminating those unwanted sounds. Otherwise, if you're going straight into the box, you have even more flexibility. Things like all the neural plugins have noise gates built into it. Both the Quad and Nano Cortex have adaptive noise gates, which I actually prefer to traditional ones. And, you know, the Line 6 products, the Tone X products, I don't know about those actually, but I know the Line 6 ones, they have noise gates built into them. You can get away with just using those and you'll be able to sound great. You'll have killer high gain sounds. And to me, like, there are some people that are going to think, oh, you could push even more gain than what we were doing today. Yeah, you could, but really it becomes a little overkill at that point. Before I get going, there are two reasons why I wanted to make this video. The first is I have a perfect amplifier to kind of demonstrate this here right now with the Victory Sheriff. And secondly, because of experience that I had in the recording studio tracking. I actually filmed all of the live tracking I did, including the final take all the way through, with a Fender Jaguar that was made in Japan. The only modification it had on it was a set of pure vintage 65 pickups. We were playing some pretty aggressive surf rock, and I was going through an orange rock reverb. The engineer loved it. It cut through in the mix so well. It was super dirty, and I don't know, I just see so much online of people automatically writing off these guitars in their stock form for being able to do those sorts of things, and obviously my experience says otherwise. So I would encourage you, before you start messing around with anything else, mess around with your settings a little bit, because you might be surprised of how good something can sound that's not meant to sound that way. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take it easy, everybody.